talking about musicians and cool things and stuff. It's the Harley and Josh Show.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Harley and Josh Show. This week it's without me. It does make sense, I'm sure. Unfortunately, I can't make it. I've been called away on a last-minute job with Quatraeus. We are doing some open reach events. I'm currently in Cardiff. I've got to go to Torquay tomorrow, and the following day I've got to drive all the way up to Edinburgh. So it's a bit of a mad week. And I'll hopefully we'll survive till next week because we'll be back to normal schedule. So I hope. So unfortunately, without me, you're having to listen to Josh on his own for the next 15 minutes.
What do you mean?
Found somebody much more interesting and handsome than myself to fill the space.
Yeah, just me.
But I just wanted to talk about the last couple of weeks that have just gone on because there's some really interesting things that's happened in my life I wanted to share. So first thing is first, I had my first singing lesson, which is a weird one for me. I've talked about singing on previous shows and how I'm not very good at it and not very confident with it. So I had a lesson with Bronwyn Cooper from Underline the Sky, who's been on the show before. She's an amazing teacher, really good with building my confidence as well as getting my technique on point, which is exactly what a singing teacher really needs to do, is to kind of boost your confidence, to make you know that you're able to do the things that you're able to do, which is great. That was really cool for me, and it came into fruition because I had an audition where I had to sing for a ferry contract. That was supposed to happen. Unfortunately, it didn't quite pull off, so I'm still looking for work on that front elsewhere. But it was a really good experience to work with some really cool people because we had like a rehearsal and a film session for a band that we're going to hopefully be going away with ever so soon. So I'll keep you in the loop on that one. The other thing is we've had a great gig come in for New Year's Eve. I can't talk about it too much, but we're going to really be pushing to, this is with Chart Attack, we're going to be making that happen very soon. It's really quite a big deal. I'll give you more information as it comes along, but I'm really excited, and so the rest of the boys, and someone else. Chart Attack is potentially expanding to a 5-piece, which is going to be really cool. We're going to be able to add so much more to the show and make it really next level. Other than that, I've just been doing the odd gig here and there. It's been doing a lot of conference work, which is what I'm doing now. Hopefully I will make it to the other end after my 9-hour drive from Cornwall to Edinburgh. That's going to be long. I'm not looking forward to it, but I've got loads of podcasts lined up, including last week's Harley and Josh show with Rich, because I haven't heard that yet. So apologies, Josh. I'm really sorry.
I don't forgive you.
So anyway, I'm going to leave you guys with it. Sorry, Josh, I couldn't be there today. I hope you're all right without me. I will look forward to seeing you soon. All the best, everybody. Thank you for listening. Go out and smash it. Yay!
Wrong show, Harley. Hi, guys. So that was Mr. Harley Cotton talking about his musical week. Welcome to the Harley and Josh Show, ladies and gentlemen. Today, it's the lonely old Josh Show, as you've just heard from Harley. So I'm going to be by myself talking about what I've been doing musically for the past week, as well as some amazing music from Telling Truths, The Brackish Edge, Fisticuffs, Hunt for Titans, and the Lamplight Club, who are playing with Hot Tramp soon. Plug. Stick around for all of that amazing music and also for the gig list at the end. I'll tell you what, though, because I love you guys, I want to play some music straight away so you don't have to listen to my voice the whole time. This is Gary by Fisticuffs, and it is a tune. They're playing this weekend. Stick around for later on for the gig list. Yeah. That was Gary by Fisticuffs. Stick around for the gig list and find out where they're playing. I love that tune because it's dedicated to one of their top fans, or their very top fan. And it's not a lot of bands that do that. So, nice one, guys. So, let me just tell you about what I've been doing. So, if you guys haven't heard the show before, I'm a professional musician from JS and the Lockabillys, and from a professional teacher as well. And I just sort of kind of, my entire life is the music industry. So I like to be able to we like to keep you guys updated on what we do every week, so you get a kind of an insight into what happens when you are kind of part of the music industry. But I'm going to start off with teaching. because I was teaching with my schools this week. That was Moorland Primary and Rendlesham Primary, as well as some private stuff in the evenings. It's great. It's really amazing to work with primary school kids, just because of the enthusiasm they have and a lot of the brutal honesty. Because they haven't got a filter just yet. They haven't grown that bit yet. So in their brain. So yeah, what I've been kind of teaching has been Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles. There's 2 chords in that whole song, E minor and C. Amazing. And it was kind of a little lesson on how good it is to write a song that is simple but still really good. I mean, Eleanor Rigby was like the first ever track that went onto the charts with just a string quartet. It's quite amazing. But so just sort of teaching them the benefits of knowing your chords, and I was helping them strum. So what I'd do is get them to hold down the chord, and then I would strum, and then we'd swap around. So I would play the chord, they would strum, and get the kind of an idea of how to keep time with it. I'd also do the thing where Murray Collins actually gave me this idea, which was get them to strum the strings and keep me in time while I play it. So just to show them that if they drop the beat, then other people drop the beat as well. So that was really interesting. I was also teaching them Bad Guy by Billie Eilish to do something that's a bit more current, so they get it. And yeah, that's really, they get really excited. It's really funny because what I do is I'm like, I've got a new song to teach you this week. It's these chords. So get them ready. It's usually a song where it's got 3 or 4 chords, and that you kind of repeat over and over again. So Bad Guy, Billie Eilish, really good for that. It's just G minor, C minor, and D minor. So I got them playing that, and then I put the track on and just see them go, oh my God, I love this song. Oh my God. And they sing along with it as well. So it kind of gets them to sing along with them playing without actually realizing they were doing it. So just that kind of getting them doing this. And then also sort of doing the clap back rhythm thing, where I sort of say, okay, repeat this rhythm to me. Only because that's a Lockabilly's one. And then they'll clap it back, and I'll be like, okay, strum it now. So they'll be like, blah, 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 blah. So, just little things like that really do help with their development. And it's been really fun to do that, to be honest, especially when they sort of, get their minds blown with a song that they actually like, that they realise they could play guitar on, or ukulele. So there's some things that I've quite proud of, was that a couple of my students wanted to drop out of it this week from the schools. They're not private. The school kind of pays for them to have lessons because they think that they have great potential. But they get their lesson times moved around, and I like to mix up who they're in classes with, so we don't end up just with the same class over and over and over and over again. And it's quite. It does mess around with it a bit, because they don't always know what time they're supposed to be in, and they don't always know who they're going to be in the lesson with. But I think it sort of emulates that feeling of being in a band with people you don't really know, and still working together. But yeah, so I'd change some around, and some of them were just like, I don't want to do it anymore. And I'm like, okay, that's absolutely fine. It's your choice. You're not forced to do this, but I need to know why. And they'll be like, well, just don't want to do it. And then I'll be sitting there going, is it because of who you're in the lesson with? And they'll say no. Nobody has actually so far, which has been good. And I'll just be like, is it because it's during your playtime? And they'll be like, yes. Okay, right, I'll move it to a different time, because I'd rather you still did this rather than dropping it and then having to find somebody else to fill in that space. And then that kid just doesn't get that benefit of having a little knowledge of an instrument. Because there's so many people that I talk to that are, sort of later on after school, and are just like, oh, I wish I'd stuck on with guitar, not just for the fact of just going on stage and or doing it as a job, just for something to do in the evening. So yeah, I'm really hoping that I can just keep these kids going for it. So yeah, I'm quite happy about that. That was another really fun thing. I say fun, I'm being sarcastic, but it's still really important, was going back over my safeguarding training and my DBS checks, as well as behaviour policies. That is a thing when you are teaching in schools specifically. I mean, a lot of people should do it, whether they're teaching wherever, but just knowing what you should be looking out for if you are you're in charge of looking after a child for a sort of a specified amount of time. But that's also outside of school. If you see one of your students outside of school, there are specific ways that you have to interact with them. But also, you've got to be able to kind of observe to be able to work out as to whether that child is being abused, be that verbally or other horrible ways, which is really horrible to read about, but you just got to do it. And it's heartbreaking reading some of the examples of things that people have subjected children to, and the stuff that you read about this, and you're thinking, how would I be able to find that out? So you really do have to listen to the language they use, and just how sort of blasé they are about talking about certain topics, to the very obvious things like, have they got bruises? And are they swearing? Are they hearing certain languages that they shouldn't because, of certain situations outside of school? So, yeah, it was horrible to read that, but I'm glad I did. And also, the behaviour policy thing is really important because it also doesn't talk about what is unacceptable behaviour during my classes. It's also what my behaviour should be like, so that I am giving the child a good kind of role model to look up to. Certain topics to kind of veer away from, and also just how to sort of direct conversation away from certain things and keeping their focus on things. But it's important about how you dress and how you hold yourself and the way that you treat kids. So, try not to make anybody feel like they are less intelligent than somebody else in the class, and trying to give equal time to everybody. So it's all really important stuff, but man, it's not a fun read. I will say, whenever you got anything that you have to read that says section 2, paragraph B, point 1, you're like, oh my gosh, I am losing the will to live. But I'm glad I did, because it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. So anyway, what else did I do? Oh yeah, the wedding on Friday. I didn't get married. I was playing a wedding for Reese and Jess. That was quite a special one, actually. I really enjoyed that. It was basically, he used to go to Planet Music. He had a couple lessons with me. He was a guitarist, and played with bands. He's played lots of different people as well as acoustic, and saw us at the Black Tiles in Martlesham, a great show that we did there with some really fantastic people there, and we did that. So we've got a song called She's Dangerous, which is on the Lockabilly's album, available on Spotify and iTunes and Apple and all that stuff. That has a percussion section with the great Ashton Jones in it, who's just been watching recently. Hello, boy. But of course, we can't be booking Ashton Jones for every single gig because he's a busy boy. So what we do is, instead, we pick up a bunch of glass bottles that I've wrapped in cling film, so if they do break, they don't shatter everywhere, and some drumsticks, and give them to the audience. So it's like a ting, 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 ting. It's an absolute racket. It's an absolute riot. We love it. And because of that, they booked us for their wedding, and they actually asked us to play one of our original songs at a wedding, which just doesn't happen. So yeah, that was really fun. But the bit that I really enjoyed was that he played a set in the middle of it, because he got his guitar out, and we sorted it out so that he could play. It was at Two Hoots Barn in Sternfield, I think it is. Really difficult to find the place, but I think they usually do like little Christmas events and stuff like that, and they sell Christmas trees out there. So I just had to look out for Christmas trees in the middle of Suffolk in the middle of September. So that was fun. So it was a nice little venue. We were sort of in this space that is very long, oblong, cuboid shape, which was quite difficult to get it sounding right. Luckily, we've got Murray Collins on board, who is an absolute genius. It did sound really good in the end. We had a really good audience that was kind of constantly cycled around. The guys in the crowd, especially the groomsmen, were very, very, very rowdy. I will say that. So they had lots of paraphernalia which they were trying to make me laugh with, and it succeeded quite very well. But the weird thing was it finished by 11. They had a curfew by 11, and usually places, weddings, the curfew will be 12 o'clock. So what we'll do usually is about 8 o'clock we'll play for an hour, and then we'll have a half an hour break, and then we'll play from 9:30 till 10:30, and then I'll DJ until 12. Instead, this time, the curfew was 11, so I literally only had to DJ for half an hour after that, and we all got home before midnight, which was mad. That never happens at a gig. So Yeah, that was a really nice little wedding, actually. I really enjoyed that, and I hope we get to play there again. It's a really nice old barn. Before I get on to the last bits of my weekend, I'm going to play some more music because there is such amazing music happening this weekend. I've got to talk about it, basically. I won't be able to catch any of it because I'll be gigging myself, but one of the gigs I wish I would be seeing is the Brackish Edge. They're being put on with Mr. Matt Catling, if you heard him on IO Radio. He's got his own show. You will really enjoy this show. Brackish Edge has got this really nice noise rock style about them. They've got this song is, I think it might be my favourite one. It's called In the Wintertime. It's got this kind of early Syd Barrett, Pink Floyd thing about it, with a female vocalist, and it really accentuates their vintage roots, as well as they've got some very contemporary music coming out. So this is In the Wintertime by the Brackish Edge. Check it out. That was The Wintertime by the Brackish Edge. Shout out to Rick Baylor. They are playing this weekend in Ipswich. So if you stick around to the gig list at the end, I will tell you exactly where and when. So that's what we're for. So also, what did I do last week that was musical, hey? So we had the wedding at Two Hills Barn, and then on the Saturday I was teaching at Bravo School of Rock, which is in Stowmarket. It's Combs Ford sort of way, and it's at the Boys Brigade Hall, kind of near Gladstone Arms. It's a morning school, so it's 9 till 12, and it's really, there's a really great selection of kids there. They're all getting up on a Saturday morning, coming down and rocking out, and that's perfect. I love that. It's sometimes a bit of a struggle for me to be human on a Saturday morning after I've gotten in from a gig very late. Luckily, as I was saying earlier, I got in before 12, which is mental. So so I actually had a brain on Saturday morning, and we were teaching Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy. That was a good one to teach because a lot of the kids know it. It's loads of fun. It's rocky, but it's also sing-alongy. But it also teaches them about drop D tuning. Now, drop D tuning is when you take the sixth string, or the thickest, lowest E string on a guitar or a bass, and you take it down 2 semitones from an E down to a D. So if you think about D as the letter before E in the alphabet, it's the same in the musical alphabet. So you're taking it down to D. That makes it easy to play open chords that sound really quite chuggy and heavy, that you can use power chords by just pushing one finger down rather than having to use your whole hand. So the kids are really enjoying that one. They can do something that sounds really quite heavy without as much finger strain and sort of getting blisters on more than one finger. So they do really enjoyed that. And luckily, I didn't have, I say luckily, but I was quite happy about it. Didn't have a gig on Saturday night. So I went out to the Art Eat After Party. That was at Cult Cafe. Amazing lineup. They had Daniel Lee Harvey DJing, the legend that is, as well as Impilo opened the whole thing up. My boys, love them. As well as Stretch Soul Gang bringing the house down later on. So that was courtesy of 5011, who have done the Watermelon Jams in the past, and just general good events. So it was really, really nice to be back at Cult on a Saturday night. I don't often get Saturday nights off, so being able to go to Cult, where I've spent a lot of my time watching good bands. It was just, Impilo brought some new songs out. They were playing with a drum pad, which was triggering. So Rainer was playing with a drum pad, triggering samples, and also he had a click in his ear. It was one of the tightest I've ever seen him play. They really sort of spread their sound using those different samples, because it's guitar-based drums with a vocalist, and sometimes Gav does some vocals. So that does limit you a little bit as to the stereo spread that you can have in terms of instrumentation and textures that you can bring to a song. So being able to just put some piano in there, some ambiance, backing vocals that they wouldn't be able to do live, as well as sort of overdubbed guitar and bass lines that you can't do on just one instrument, really did add to the experience, and I can't wait to see them really utilize that. for future performances. So well done, guys. Stretch Soul Gang, as per usual, amazing. The falsetto on that guy is just so powerful. I mean, I like it's one thing being able to do falsetto well, but it's another thing being able to get a bit of edge to it, because if you do falsetto voice, it's like when you're talking in your child voice like this, it can sound a little bit edgeless. I don't know how to say that properly. It's just a little bit tame. So when you get a little bit of gruff noise on it, I bet you sound a bit like Brian Johnson. And it's finding that sort of middle ground, because they're so funky. You want to have a little bit of gruff to it, but it's still got to be kind of pure, and you got to be able to hear the vocals, hear the lyrics, get the melody line. So if you go to AC/DC or Iron Maiden on it, then it sort of it ruins it a little bit, I think. So yeah, well done, guys. Really enjoyed that. Wonderful show. Really nice to be able to go out and do that, and I could actually walk home because I live around the corner. So yeah, good times all round. And I also could be a bit of a roadie and talking to people outside. So the next day, though, I had to be good. I couldn't have much to drink. Always drink responsibly, everybody. Because I had 2 gigs on the Sunday. Now, the first one was at a venue I'd not played. Brand new, well, it's not brand new, it's thousands, hundreds of years old, because it's an old church, but they have turned it into an arts centre. So it's called Two Sisters Arts Centre. It's opposite the Three Mariners in Trimley St Mary, just past Trimley St Martin. And it's great. They've got their own PA system in there, a stage, purpose-built stage. They set all these chairs and tables out. And we set up with my foot stomp pedal, which is like a little it's like a little wooden block with a contact mic inside. So when you put your foot down on it, it sort of triggers a bass drum kind of sound. So it just goes straight into my sub. I brought a sub along so that we could still get something bassy, because bass can get a little bit lost in churches because they're so high roofed, and a lot of the reverb does take a bit of the bass out. So it was nice to add that. Had Tom on banjo on my left, had Rich Webb on the accordion on my right, and we debuted some brand new songs that I wrote a couple weeks ago, and hadn't really finished until we played them live, and they kind of felt finished, and because I was just adding bits as we went. But they were based on Coco's Treasure, or The Loot of Lima, which is a pirate treasure off the coast of Costa Rica, which still hasn't been found. The Pirate Priests of Minsmere, which is just up the coast in Suffolk. If you look it up, right near Leiston, it's an amazing story about priests who time pirate. And I wrote a song about it, as well as the last one we wrote, which is Black Shuck. Now, if you guys have heard about Black Shuck, he or she is a black dog that is supposedly a demon dog that roams East Anglia, and it's a great story of him storming a church in the 1500s. So I wrote about that, and played this very dark song as the clouds covered the sun at about 4 o'clock when we were playing, and the rain started pouring down outside, and the lights, because we have these candles lighting us while we're playing, as well as these sort of up-facing sort of yellowy lights. It felt really quite spooky, actually, sort of talking about this demon dog. And yeah, so that was really quite special. So I want to thank everybody for coming along to that. But we were supposed to be finished by 4. I went a little bit later because I was really enjoying it. We had to be playing at the Forge at 5:30. So I wasn't completely sure if that was going to happen. But we made it. We got there. We were playing at 5:30. And it was great. It was a really nice venue, the Forge. I do like it there. It's got that rustic feel, but it's still got this. It still feels really clean. If you know what I mean. It's looked after. So I was playing double bass for that one. So Rich followed me up for that one. He'd had a long old weekend. So well done, Rich, for getting through a 4-gig weekend. So we set up. I was playing double bass, Rich was playing guitar, and as some of you guys can see on the Facebook Live, I got some pretty gnarly blisters on my middle fingers from playing double bass last weekend, not this week, last weekend. They were blood blisters, and they'd kind of gone a bit. They'd burst basically over the weekend, and so I wore a glove, so one of those magic gloves, the ones that stretch, while I was playing double bass, with grips on it, so that I could actually get some purchase on the strings. And I was so glad I did that because actually my playing didn't suffer. It's really difficult to play in gloves on any stringed instrument because you don't get a lot of feel, and also it can be quite slippery in comparison to your skin. But yeah, I sort of got a different technique as well because I was sort of getting a bit more of a slap on the 2 and the 4 of the bar. So if you got 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. So I was going dunka danka dunka danka dunka danka dunka dank, which is much more rockabilly to me. It's got to emphasises those the sort of downbeats which you don't have when you're not playing with a drummer. Because we're playing with just double bass, just guitar. There's no percussion section. So I have to be the percussion section, or Murray has to be the percussion section when he plays it, which is most of the time. But the thing is, my calluses don't build up during the month because I'm not playing it as much. Whereas Murray's fingers are as hard as stone from him practicing and playing live regularly. So I'm all delicate, me. So yeah, had a really good night, and I'm glad because Vic Boulder, she brought her little baby Charlie down. He's probably, I want to say, 6 to 8 months old, and she's brought him down to 2 of my gigs now, the sort of quieter ones, and he's gorgeous, lovely little boy, and he's dancing along while I'm playing, and I'm just like, my heart is melting, I can't stop playing though. And at the end of the show, she let me hold him, she let me carry him, and he's just beautiful, lovely little boy. Didn't cry, didn't make any noise, just looked straight up at me, and if I had ovaries, they would have burst at that particular point, but instead it was just my eyes. I started crying. No, I didn't. Well, manly me. So yeah, anyway, really, hi Dad. So yeah, really great weekend full of 3 gigs and lots of lessons learned. My favourite part, I think, was the groom on the Friday singing to his brand new wife. So Reese singing to his brand new wife Jess, and I felt part of it because I was helping them to get plug him in, get the scene set for him to be able to play, and she sat there in a chair right in front as her family and her friends were all gathered around, and he sang love songs to her, and I felt, there was some emotion, loved it. But I think I was right next to the desk, so I had this sort of unique view from behind him looking at her as he was playing. I got a great photo of him just singing to her. It was just really romantic, really beautiful. So great idea. More people should do that. My favourite lesson I've learned. So what I've done. So Harley and I are doing this. We're talking about sort of what we've actually done and what we've learned from the week. So maybe you guys can take it on. A lot of the time I am teaching Tuesday to Thursday, gigging Friday to Sunday, and I have Monday to do this. I do the show. But the thing is, my private students usually come after the school teaching, and I've started to just stagger that out now. So I only do 1 week on doing private students, 1 week off doing private students, 1 week on, 1 week off, so that I actually do get some evenings to have some time for myself, which everybody needs to do. If you're busy all the time, it's not good for your mental health at all, so be careful. But also, it's to sort of catch up on stuff that's band related, getting back to emails, putting out feelers for other gigs, and doing promotion. So that I'm glad I've got a bit more time for that. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to play you some more amazing music. I am going to play, I think this is my favourite find this week. This is by the Lamplight Club. They are playing with Hot Tramp at Coda this weekend. You can stick around for the gig list later on to find more info. This is Take It Out on Me. Check it out. I love it. Oh yeah. They are wonderful. The Lamplight Club. That's called Take It Out on Me. I bought that on iTunes. You can find that on all streaming platforms. That might be one of my favourite new finds in terms of bands recently, just because of that energy, that tone, and just a little bit of difference that Hot Tramp kind of bring to the blues. They're kind of doing a similar thing, and I think they're going to work really well on the bill, so you guys should stick around for the gig list to find out where they're playing next. Now, this is the section of the show where we usually do the music news and the thing I thought about this morning. However, this week I couldn't really find any really interesting music news for you guys that wouldn't bore you to tears with just facts and figures about new tech startups and sort of legal cases, which we do on this show. But sometimes I think because it's just me and no Harley, I want to just sort of share with you some thoughts I've had recently. So I want to give you some figures here. It won't be only a couple. So in the Billboard Hot 100 in the past sort of 4 or 5 years, only 17% of the songs that charted were female. 2.1% of those have female producers. And only 10.4% of Grammy nominees are female. Now, it just shows that there is some problems here in the music industry of representation. I'm not saying it's not getting better, but it needs to be brought to light. So I was reading a story this morning of a professional female videographer working in the music industry, filming a live gig. She went up to the sound desk. Was a guy on the sound desk. She asked, "Can I have an XLR feed just from the main outs to go to my camera so it can help me to sync up the audio and the visual when I'm in the editing process?" Which reasonable request, completely reasonable request. Instead of him just saying, "No, I can't do that," or "Yes, I can do that," or "I don't know," she got a 10-minute lecture on, it's not going to be very loud. I mean, what do you need it for? It's like, well, I'm going to be doing it for this, this, and this. Well, you don't need that. You need this. Well, I mean, I just need this because that's what I've asked for, and that's what I've worked with before. Yeah, but why would you want this? What you want to do is take the feed out of an aux. And you won't need an XLR for that. And in the end, she was just like, "Okay, I understand where you're coming from, but just give me the thing I've asked for, or don't," instead of the lecture. He does it reluctantly, and then as she's walking off, he can hear her just muttering under his breath about how much of a B word she is. Now, if you imagine, I mean, so people in the music industry can be condescending. People in any industry can be condescending. I have dealt with it myself multiple times. I just don't think I've dealt with it as much as some of my female colleagues. The thing is that if I had asked that same thing, the guy would have been like, "No." But what else can we do? There would be I feel like there would be a bit more of a rapport, like a backward and forward, rather than being, I don't know, I hate the term, but mansplained too. So what I wanted to talk about this week was how can I, as a man, work towards being more equality minded. So, and I just sort of wanted to give you guys some bullet points just to see if maybe that it could help you guys with it as well. So, it's the thing is with the music industry and with music in general, songwriters throughout history have forwarded a lot of our beliefs down the line. They have, protest songs, love songs for different sexes and different genders, all of this stuff. We need to be able to practice what we preach. So these are the kind of songs that we put out, the songs that we promote, the songs that we manage the artists by, the songs that we record, the songs that we produce, the songs that we do sound for live, and that we are so passionate about. However, we don't actually carry out the message that these songs are putting out. So we need to really think about how we approach this. For me to sort of try and get myself on the level, I was trying to think about times where maybe I felt encroached upon or just not felt good about the way somebody's treated me. And I was talking to actually Jamie Chapman and Sophie Wood at Cult on Saturday, and I kept on getting grabbed. People would grab my shoulders, hold my hand, because they'd either see me on stage or they'd met me once. But they're people that I don't really know very well. People that I know well, if they come up to me and they touch me or they stroke my hair or they grab my face or something like this, I'm like, I'll give you a bit of a benefit of the doubt, but personal space, guys, please. But I got touched so many times. Like people would go past and be like, "Oh, look, it's Josh," and they'll grab me on the butt, or they'll they'll start massaging my shoulders. They give me a back rub. and they'll be like, hi, and I'm, they don't mean it. Well, to me, I don't feel like they mean it aggressively. But therein lies the problem that a lot of women do come across, is that it's kind of second guessing yourself. You sit there and think, did I imagine that was horrible for me? Did I imagine that was, I don't know, that was kind of abuse, that somebody was touching me without my consent? And that happens so much more to women than it does men like me. And I think it's very important to think about that. I mean, there's so many times when people have talked down to me, talked across me, and condescended me, and I've just sort of been like, brushed it off and just been like, I'm sure they didn't mean it like that. But just happening that once, it diminishes my pride in myself, because I'll be sitting there going, just keep quiet, they're paying you, or they're a contact that you need, or they're good for networking, or they might book you in the future. You sit there and think, okay, don't challenge them. And that is a thing that I, from reading about this, that I've realized that a lot of women in the music industry do. They sort of play down the things that encroach on their personal space and things like this. So I've sort of been reading about different ways that maybe just from myself, adjusting my my approach to other professionals, not just women, but mainly women, to maybe just practice what I preach and further the messages that we write in our songs and that we are promoting as musicians, managers, songwriters, recorders. So here's my first point. Be mindful of the choice of your words. So, I don't think I've ever seen a bloke be called bossy or bitchy. That's a lot of the time been used for women. And also I sit there and think about how I address people. It's guys, you're right, dudes, stuff like this. I'm not saying just don't use that phrase, but I mean, when you do just sit there and address a group as guys or dudes, then it can make women feel excluded. I've heard, not that I know, but anyway. Point 2: be mindful of greetings. So dudes, I usually go in with a handshake, or the kind of the upward. The high five that turns into a handshake, that kind of thing. Maybe the sort of the shoulder hug. And so many times in the past, I have gone in for the kiss on the cheek for a woman, and so many people do that to me, where I don't want them to. That has made me realise, I shouldn't do that. I should just go for the handshake. Nowadays, with women, I go in for a handshake, and if they lean in for the kiss, then I'll go for it. But then you get to feel that awkward thing of like, if I'm sitting there going, I don't want to do that, and you back away, you feel like you're being rude. But I think, you need to be wary of the fact that some people just don't want to be kissed. So if somebody does do that, don't judge them on it. I mean, they've got personal space. Maybe they're a germaphobe, or maybe they don't know you and they don't kiss people they don't know. It's completely fine. So I don't know. I'm going with a handshake from now on with everybody. Apart from close friends and stuff like that, and then I'll go for a hug because I'm a hugger. Point 3, I've got be mindful of the future as well as the past. It's kind of how we treat people now is probably, it could be looked on in the future as we may feel like we're being progressive. We may be feeling like we are going full on equality with it, but in the future people might be like, why were you doing stuff like that? That's really bad. It's also the kind of the thing of, looking at the past, that we can sit there and go, oh, God, things were so bad back then. I'm glad we're not like that now. It also gives you that rose-tinted glasses for the moment, instead of sitting there going, okay, let's learn from that. Let's make sure that, let's go over our policies, let's go over the way that we work with people, and make sure that we're not doing something that will bite us in the bum in the future. Point 4, be mindful of interrupting and talking over people. Now, I think about this a lot of the time. I watched a program called Real Time with Bill Maher. I really enjoy the political debate they go over, and they do oftentimes have a very diverse panel that they talk with. But I do watch so many times as a woman will be trying to get her point across, but because the guy has a louder voice, she gets completely drowned out. And I'm sitting there shouting at the screen, just let her finish her point, for goodness sake. I do get quite annoyed when that happens. I'm constantly talking over Harley when he's on the show because I've got a louder voice than he has. So I have to be mindful of that when I'm on here. If I'm mindful of that with a guy, I should be mindful of that with a woman. And also calling it out when somebody else does it. If you're in conversation with people and you notice that somebody's just talked over somebody that you are listening to, who's a woman or a man, whatever, just call them out and say, hey, let them finish their point. Just help people out a bit, because there's no harm in it. Just let somebody get to their point, and then you can either argue it or debate it, all that sort of stuff. Point number 5: give the same jobs to women as to men. I don't. There are certain jobs that women can do better than men. There are certain jobs that men can do better than women. But in terms of the music industry, I do have guest players in the Lockabillies sometimes who are female. And in the past, I'm quite ashamed to admit it, but I've been like, don't worry about carrying stuff. We'll do that stuff. And then I started realizing, that's actually really demeaning. So I've just made sure that if ever there's a woman doing a loadout with us, then I'll be like, you carry whatever you feel like you can carry. I'm not going to sit there and say you can't do something because you're a girl and there's girl jobs and boy jobs. I will offer to help out if it's quite a heavy thing, but I'm not going to just be like, no, you can't do that. I think it's a very small thing you can do, but it's an important thing you can do. Point number 6, trust what a woman says about another pro. If somebody says to you, they were really misogynistic towards me, don't just sit there and say, okay, that's just a small thing, I'll still work with them anyway, and not question that. I'm not saying don't work with that person, but I think question it and sit there and, question them about it, and take that on, not as, gospel truth, but as an advisement. Somebody has told you that person is not acting properly in a professional workplace, so you should take that on board and judge it how you want to, but don't, just because there is so much of it going on at the moment with accusations, with the Me Too movement and everything, you can get a bit desensitized with it. You can sit there and say, like everybody's just jumping on this bandwagon. It's not a bandwagon. It's people finally finding a way to speak out. So I think it's very important to listen to somebody's opinion. You can disregard it whether on the merits of the point put across, not on their gender. I don't think that's fair at all. So what are we on? Point 7. Don't presume it's women's job to change the professional environment that we work in, because it's not. It's everybody's. It's by doing sort of these kind of points that I'm making here. I'm going to be working with them with these points to sort of make it so that a working environment is easier for women, not just women, but people, cisgender people, transgender people, all this kind of stuff that is not you. It's not, you don't see that mirrored in your own personality, so you feel like it's othered. But so it's their problem to deal with. But no, we are all in this together, guys. So we've got to kind of change it ourselves, all as one. So the next one, point 8. Don't just be woke in words, be woke in actions. I hate the word woke. I'm sorry I just said it. But being progressive and mindful of these issues, like I'm doing right now, I'm very aware that me sitting there just going, yeah, we should do this, is words of wind, as George R.R. Martin would put it. You've got to actually put that into action. And, just posting about how much that you are, with the movements on social media does nothing. It might spread the word that you are progressive, but it's not actually changing a lot sometimes. Just because everybody can see it doesn't mean that they're actually, going with your argument all the time and hearing it and having a discourse with you. We need to debate these things for them to actually, make any change, make any difference. So, yeah, it's very important to do what you say that you're going to do. And the last one, if you do act on these points, like I'm talking about, like I'm going to do, don't expect any thanks from women for being treated equal. That's just baseline the way it should be. Don't expect, oh wow, you're so chivalrous or all this sort of stuff. Oh, thank you for being, an equalitist. It's just the way it should be. If you're expecting thanks, you're not doing it for the right reasons. Anyway, rant over. That was
This morning.
Jingle.
Oh, so yeah, thanks for listening, guys. If I rambled a bit, I appreciate that you can be a bit passionate about this. But anyway, let's get to the very last section of the show. Yes, it's gig list time. This Wednesday, 6:30. It's Cocktails and Conversation. My mother is putting this event on in Felixstowe at Coper's Bar. You don't have to be a woman in business or working. This event is intended for any woman who wants to connect, socialise, have fun with like-minded women. No need to have an agenda. Women empower women. If you just want to get away from the kids, the grandkids, the partner, the family, make friends, bring a friend, come on your own. You'll be made very welcome. So if you agreed with the kind of stuff that I was talking about there and you are a woman, get down to Coper's Bar this Wednesday at 6:30. Go on, Mum. Enjoy it. Heads up, it's my birthday this weekend on Sunday. So, no gifts necessary, nothing. Just go out and support local music and tell them I sent you. And that'll be my birthday present. But if you do want to say hello and have a party, I'm going to be at the Shamrock in Ipswich this Friday for Layla's birthday. So that's going to be quite fun. It's going to be a big birthday celebration. And I'm also going to be at the Shepherd and Dog in Hoseley on the Saturday. Both of those are Lockabilly Show, full band. Actually, no, there's 3 of us. So there'll be drums, bass and guitar. So yeah, hope to see you at one of those. So getting on to everything else, 26th of September, that's Thursday. Arms to Oblivion and Cold Harbour are at the Black Horse at 7:30 in Ipswich on Thursday. Some good metal there. Friday, the 27th of September, we've got the Brackish Edge, Kyonos, who we played last week, and DJ Matt Catling, IO Radio's own. That's at the Smokehouse this Friday, 27th of September. Bands in the Sand is happening this weekend. That is Saturday, 28th of September at Coper's Bar. Copaz, whatever, Harley, shut up. We've got Kane, Edenvale, Ventures, Hunt for Titans, who I'm going to finish the show off with, the 4 O'Clock Robots, A Few Too Many, Fatal Crowbar Injury, and the Slap Happy Rock Band, all happening all day at Coper's Bar on Saturday, 20th of September. Bands in the Sand in Felixstowe. Coda in Colchester this Saturday, 28th of September, the Lamplight Club, who I played earlier, the Gin Twins, and Hot Tramp. My faves are playing at Coda in Colchester on Saturday. They're releasing a new single. I cannot wait for you guys to hear it. It's wonderful. Also, 28th of September, Scruff Myers Super Hands is the album release show. That's Saturday at 7 o'clock at St. Peter's by the Waterfront. They got Ricky Flagg and one of the guys from War Waves playing on that show. So that is going to be a great show. Ricky Flagg, Red Flag 77, and East Ham Pirates. What a lineup. Anyway, September 28th, also on the Saturday, we've got Back to the Point. They are at the Steamboat Tavern. Wonderful band. We've played them on the show before, including Fisticuffs, who we played earlier, and In and Out of Sleep, I believe. So Fisticuffs will put on a really good show, and I expect Gary will be there. So 28th also, we've got Repair to Ruin, Hallman, Kilo Down, and Telling Truth. I was going to play some Telling Truths, but I've run out of time because I was talking too much. So check out Telling Truths. Got a great song called Second Chance on their new EP. Great. It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's all those different places. But yeah, that's at the Smokehouse this Saturday. So if you like your alt rock, female fronted alt rock, you'll really like that. And last big plug, this Monday, Ipswich All-Star Rock School is launching for the juniors. That is at 4 o'clock at the Meeting Place Community Centre in Ipswich. It's the same place we used to do the Rock Project, and it's a lot of the same. Well, it's all the same teachers. So if you really want your kid to be learning some new stuff and just to play with others and learn some social skills, I think you guys would really enjoy All-Star Rock School. That's a free session. Sign yourself up at the website allstarrockschool.com. I believe that's right, but check their Facebook just in case. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and leave some music with you guys. Thank you so much for joining on the Facebook Live. Thanks to Lynn for keeping me company, and to Nigel for his 2 gigs at Art Eat with 2 different samba bands. You must be knackered, mate. Yeah, So I will see you guys next Monday. We will have Harley back, I do hope. He says he would be, so I will take him at his word. So you will have some company with you. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to finish off with a wonderful band called Hunt for Titans. Shout out to Chewy, the singer. We used to gig together a lot over the years with Blacktop Harrison. So this one's called Close to the Grave. It's on Bandcamp. Yeah, you guys stay awesome. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.